start this recording and we will get going. So first thing I want to say is just welcome everyone. Today is a very special day for a number of reasons. One, you are all gathered here to talk about making a better food system for Pueblo, and that deserves to be celebrated. Next, it is the autumn equinox, which is a very special day. Some might argue one of the most special days. It is one of the 4 Earth holidays. So that's the spring, the winter solstices, and the fall and summer equinox. So we're really excited for this day. Now, what is an equinox? Not Dr. Bartolo, who can tell us what an equinox is?
So an equinox is when the sun, we have equal amounts of daylight and darkness.
Exactly. Equinox stands for night. So equal time. Oh, we're going to let another person in here. Equal time, day and night. And in the northern hemisphere, which we are in, this is our autumnal equinox. And it represents a lot of really beautiful things. So I'm just going to read something to you to think about. And just we'll take a moment and sit on it because it's a very special time and there's a lot going on. So I offer this for you to consider. The fall equinox brings going to seed and gathering of the harvest and relates to gratefully receiving and sharing the giveaway. Right? Doesn't that just feel so good? All of this beautiful bounty that we're experiencing. So I just invite you to sit with that and think about, what you are allowing yourself to receive, what bounty you're receiving, and what bounty you are graciously giving away. And we will jump into the rest of our meeting. So I'm going to do my first share of the day, and that is just a quick review of our agenda. Last month, we had a welcome back. We talked about our reflection exercise and you all had the opportunity to go through those comments if you wished. And then we spoke about all of the cool things happening this fall. Today, we are very excited and grateful that author Shannon Dobbs is here to speak about his book, Low Hanging Fruit, which is currently ranked #1 on Amazon for agricultural books. So that's very exciting ranking, and we're glad that he's here. And I'm not gonna steal his thunder, but he'll take over the mic here in just a bit. And then next month, we will talk about Sun, Soil, Water and our Food Systems Leadership Awards. We'll do some group planning for that. And then we will go through a deep dive of Pueblo Food Project financials. Let's see. I want to share with you, let me move that here. Let me let Tion in. Before we go any further, I want to remind us of our strategic priorities for the food project, specifically as they relate to the Colorado Health Foundation grant. Many of you know we submitted this grant in July. This is a document that I reference all the time. It's available to you. It's on our website. It comes out in every newsletter. So if you're ever asking or wondering, like, what is the Pueblo Food Project doing and why are they doing that? And how does this line up to the goals? This 41-page document is there for you to explore. But just a friendly reminder on our strategic priorities. We are focusing on healthy food access, developing our local food system, creating opportunities for ongoing food and farm literacy and education. We are working to engage for influence, and we are hoping to optimize resources and partnerships. I'm not going to read through all of those for you. They're on your screen there if you want to take a minute and just remind yourself why we're all here. But these are the strategic pillars. These are the strategic priorities that we all came up with through those many weeks of painful wordsmithing and brainstorming and evaluating. They still hold true. So just want to remind us that this is what we are up to. Lastly, I want to call out a really unfortunate calendar ghost. I'm maintaining that it was a calendar ghost. Last week, there was Tuesday fell on the 2nd. Tuesday of the month, and Wednesday fell on the third Wednesday of the month. And there was a split decision on when working groups were meant to be held, and everything got a little screwy. So many of you got multiple calendar notifications from me in your inbox, and I'm so very sorry for the clutter. We were really trying to work through what was going on there. And I think Brandy Attica hit the nail on the head. Google defaulted to the third week, even though it was moved on our calendar for the second week, blah, blah, blah. The point is, I'm very sorry for all of the email clutter, and we are working to resolve the issue. Lindy Webb had a great idea to just put the actual meeting dates at the top of the agenda. So all future meeting dates will now be at the top of the working group agendas, and there won't be any confusion, because as you know, in order to get to the Zoom, you go to the agenda and there will be the information. So I just wanted to apologize to everyone, because I know it's super annoying when all of these notifications flood your inbox. And I was super stressing on what the heck was going on. So just wanted to call that out. And the issue is pretty much now resolved, and just apologizing for that administrative error on my part. All right, let's keep it moving. Last call for volunteers for Chili Fest. Derek, Mo, I don't know if you want to say any words.
Yeah, actually, so we have all of our volunteers. I don't think we need any more. I mean, you know, we can always use some help. So I have 15 individuals who I'm waiting to hear from the Greater Chamber to get our tickets. So all of us are getting 3-day festival tickets. And I will be calling everyone today to remind them of their volunteer commitment, and also to let you all know about the tickets. So that's my update.
Mo, anything to add?
We have a number of student volunteers that will be joining us as well. A lot of them are just signing up for one shift, so they're only getting 1-day passes. And our students are also baking off that cheesy blue cornbread. Actually, they already baked it off. And they're also doing all the cutting of lemons and limes for all the bars. So when if you get a beer with a little fruit in it, know who did that. We're just really excited about the whole thing. I also, John Jakeman and I were able to get some of judges for the chili contests from our local chapter of the American Culinary Federation. So we have some professional chef judges, and all the judges are going to have a powwow at the Food Project booth on Saturday morning at 11. So there'll be a bunch of white coats, I think, there.
Shout out to Springside. We have Springside cheddar in that blue cornbread, and we have chili from Millburgers. So excited to have that as a sample. If you're around, come check out the booth. And thank you to everyone who signed up to be a volunteer. Okay, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about language equity. So when I say language equity, what does that mean? Who has a guess on what language equity might mean?
I think it could mean a couple of things. It could be talking in a way so that everybody from all walks of life can understand you and being inclusive. But it's also being conscious of how we refer to other populations.
Other thoughts?
Also, not everybody necessarily has English as their first language or are fluent in English, so other languages.
Other thoughts?
I think also it's the respectful tone that you use in conversation with another person, the manner that you actually speak to another person.
And maybe I can chime in from like a USDA perspective. So I know right now with CDHS and USDA, they've changed a lot of their language in their paperwork to make it more inclusive, that's basically the whole point of it. They want to make it a more inclusive and diverse environment for everyone. So with Care and Share in particular, we are tasked to create a language access plan. And I'm sorry, I'm a little out of breath. we're tasked to create a language access plan, and this plan has to be a centralized line, a centralized voice to where anybody who needs help, regardless of their background, their whatever, their language, their circumstances, they should be able to call this line and be able to speak to somebody who identifies with them. That's kind of what we're tasked with.
Thank you for sharing, everybody. The Colorado Health Foundation is giving the Pueblo food, let me back it up. For the new kids on the block who we welcome so graciously with open arms, you may know that Pueblo Food Project is funded by the Colorado Health Foundation. The Colorado Health Foundation is a health-focused nonprofit that serves all over the state of Colorado in all different capacities of health equity. And they really center health equity, racial justice at the core of their mission. And the Pueblo Food Project is one of 15 food projects, if you want to call them that, around the state. And so our community and our project was selected through a competitive grant making process along with others around the state of Colorado. And we were all and still are all working towards community food systems change. So the big focus, if you remember those strategic priorities that we just brought up, they're not programs, right? They're not one-time measurements of did this work or didn't work. It's an arc of change within a community. So we're going for food systems changes here. We have a system now, we want it to look different in the future. And so we're, massaging that arc to kind of get us to where we want to be, which will tie in really nicely with what Shannon has to say in just a bit. But as part of that, we've been gifted so many wonderful assets. One, we've been gifted a network of like-minded individuals around the state who continue to work on the same problems, just in a little bit different location and different nuance, different audience. But overall, our goals are very similar to improve our health systems and our food systems specifically for this cohort. We've been given technical assistance. So some of you have met Maggie Admack, who has come to some of our meetings and has really opened doors for us to meet different folks. You'll remember the gentleman from Green Acre, and she's helped us with some of our strategic planning. And along those lines, they're continuing to provide support so that we can achieve our goals in the most holistic manner possible. So there is an opportunity coming down from the Colorado Health Foundation. It is an application process. It is a competitive process, but we've been signaled that the Pueblo Food Project most certainly should apply for $20,000 that must be used on language equity. And we get to sort of define the parameters of what that means for our community. We get to decide how we measure ourselves, and we get to sort of decide what that looks like for this coalition. Not each coalition will be doing it the same, although I will say that some coalitions are much further along than we are. It's no surprise, you've been following along, all of our materials are English dominant. We have never had a simultaneously translated food project meeting, although we have held some meetings specifically in Spanish. The videos that we're doing now for food access that Lindy will mention later, we are making dual language. Our website, however, not optimized for someone who is blind, for example. Our website not optimized for someone who English isn't their first language. We've never had a sign language person on one of these meetings. So there's lots of ways that we can think through how we as a community want to evolve and advance our commitment to language equity. And there are a whole bunch of reasons why we might want to do that. What's one reason we might want to improve our language equity outcomes? Someone who hasn't shared yet.
Increase participation.
Be more inclusive.
Exactly.
Deeper impact.
Exactly.
Broader community engagement.
All of those things, right? Think about when you step into a room and you're feeling insecure for any reason. How likely are you to give it your all? And then think about if you stepped into the room already feeling a little nervous and then nothing was in the language of your heart. Probably not going to feel as compelled to engage. So it's important for us to think about. It's not going to be easy to hit the nail on the head exactly because there are so many layers of this work. But for now, I'm just going to launch a quick poll, and it's 4 questions, won't take long. You should see it there on your screen, and we're just going to take a pulse check on where we are right now as a coalition, what we're thinking, and this will sort of help me inform the mini application and interview process that I will go through tomorrow. Yeah, it's 15 minutes. They're not giving you very long to make your case. So yeah, please go ahead and take this poll. And I can see how many people have voted. So no getting out of it at this point. No wrong answer. Would love to see participation from everyone who is able to participate on their screen. All right. We're gonna ooh. We are going to give it another full minute. We're at 89%. Come on, kick it over the line. There you go, there you go. All right, 10-second warning. Okay. Let's take a look at these results. What is the language of your heart? The dominant answer in this group is English. But guess what? We have so many people in our community whose answer would be Spanish, and this shows that they're not in the room. So that's indication right there that this money would support our work. What single action should the PFP do to create more language equity for the coalition? The lead answer was translate all written materials, followed by post all social media in English and Spanish. And for those who selected something else, if you wouldn't mind, would you type that in the chat? If you'd like that to be anonymous, you can very quickly change your Zoom name and send it over. But if you have a great idea, the folks who selected something else, please put it in the chat so that we can consider it and add it to a potential list of ideas. No one really liked the idea of holding the same meeting more than once based on requested language, although I will say sometimes that is the most effective way to gather feedback from different audiences because it just kind of sets a different tone. So we'll think about that one. And simultaneously translate all meetings was not so high on the list either, but we'll think through that. How likely are you to participate in a meeting where you would require simultaneous translation? We have most folks at likely, some folks very likely, and then a couple of folks only somewhat and not likely. For the folks that are in somewhat likely and not likely, what would limit you? Just invite you to think about that. And if you're willing to put some thoughts in the chat, that would be very helpful for us because if we think about it from the other side, and English is our dominant language, and we folks don't necessarily speak English, and even members of our own group would be unwilling to be part of a simultaneous translated meeting. There's something we need to think through there, how we sort of resolve that. or what solution would work for everyone so that they can participate in the language of their heart. Okay, and the last one, if CHS decides to give us the money, you know, what should we do? And it looks like follow the leader seems to be the safest bet for folks. I can totally understand that. There are some folks who are further along than us. And then create a language equity task force. So I like that idea, right? Because then we're all engaged and we're making these decisions together. We're not just taking on what someone else did, although those can be guideposts. No one's really too excited about hiring a translator on retainer. Not sure how you're gonna get all those materials translated if we don't have a translator. So we'll have to think about that. And yes, no one really had any other ideas. So thank you so much for sharing that feedback. I'm seeing some stuff come through the chat. Shannon, if you want to mention your comment, and Dr. Kelly, if you want to mention yours.
Oh, I was just commenting that 805 compliance on the website can apparently be set up to work multiple languages simultaneously. So if you've got stuff that you're posting and you've got a text reader that is pushing out the information to somebody using the website, it'll talk to them in their language. And so that may be a way to kind of integrate something that's more automated and doesn't require a lot of hands-on support all the time.
Very cool. Megan, I hope you locked that one in because it'll be something for us to explore. Dolores, I see you have a hand raised. Would love to hear from you. You're on mute, sister.
Thank you. Sorry. I was going to say this is actually really interesting because I just took a language justice training this past weekend. And I'm part of another board sort of advisory meeting where we do this every single meeting. It is translated in both English and Spanish because that is like the predominant kind of language there. And the one thing about like automated type of services is they don't always translate correctly the meanings or what's being said. I also agree that I think some of these options were good. I think the task force option, as well as kind of following the lead, would create more sustainable change versus I do think like it's also a good option to have a translator, but that's like putting all of the reliance on one individual, which again is not like very sustainable. And then I think that was all my comments. I thought I had one more, but I already forgot it. So that was kind of it, all I wanted to say.
If I could nudge a little, what were some of the key takeaways from your training? Like what sorts of questions or conversations were being had in that discussion that we didn't bring up in this very, very short little intro?
Well, like I said, the training really focused heavily on language justice. And actually, that was one of the things I was going to bring up that we did kind of touch on was, I think that I agree there needs to be a big push for this. Like you said, the representation even in the poll shows that like we do not have that type of representation here. So if you want to engage with those members of the community in this task force, like it needs to be accessible to them. And that was just kind of one of the things that we touched on a lot was I think one of the things that really pushes people away or prevents people from delving down that road is discomfort. Like you said, nobody likes to go and sit in an environment where they don't know like what's being said. And interestingly enough, I brought this up in this justice training was when I was suggesting a research project for my grad program. One thing I noticed was when we had Spanish speaking clients in clinic and didn't have those resources for them, how uncomfortable they felt, how they weren't able to get anything out of it. So I wanted to take all English speakers and put them into an all Spanish speaking class. And the reason they would not approve my research proposal was because it was deemed too psychologically harmful to the participants. So it's interesting to me that it's too harmful for research, but we have people who deal with this constantly every day in every environment they go into that is not made accessible to them. So yeah, I'm all for it, if you can't tell, but.
Thank you so much for sharing those comments and your experience. We have a couple of seconds left. I don't know, Dr. Kelly, do you want to shout out, or Lindy, do you want to shout out what you put in the chat?
Sure. I wanted to quickly comment on the technology side too. If it's auto-translated, maybe you could get an intern or language professor from the colleges to support the second glance at that. I just thought that we could support our full stakeholder groups involvement instead of just allowing a task force to be the lead. If we had some support from Maggie to compare and contrast what else is happening, not just in Colorado, but across the whole country, or even on a global level. And so when I saw that very few people showed up for the implicit bias month that we were talking, I think, again, it's something we all have to prioritize. And also, after hearing Dolores talk, there might be many other leaders in our community who are being trained in the race, equity, inclusivity in different sectors. And so bringing in all those different perspectives could be really powerful too.
I think that touches a little bit on what Lindy had suggested. Go for it.
Yeah, so I'm sure language equity and other accessibility and inclusivity needs to be worked on in other parts of our community in Pueblo as well as across the nation. So can we combine efforts in some way? If we had a task force, maybe having members of different sectors, for example.
Mm-hmm. And I think Bianca gave us a really good call out that if materials are translated, what is the resource for individuals to follow up if they have questions? So just because they read the information, that's not necessarily enough. How do they get to engage with it besides just being offered the information in the language of their heart? So that was a really good call out. All right, we are at 9 o'clock. Go for it, Alexis.
Quick thing, just to put on your radar, maybe it'd be worth exploring conversations with the Center for Health Progress to see what their clients, who are mostly Spanish-speaking households, what barriers they're experiencing that we could help them overcome, or that we could be, cognizant of in this group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think co-designing the solution is the best idea, and I'm certain that other organizations besides the Food Project are thinking about this. So, how do we collaborate across sectors? To Lindy's point, I think is really great place to approach. And it sounds like Dolores is already excited about this work. So there might be some hidden talent here on our team to help us kind of be leaders in that space. So I will follow up with everyone by our next meeting. We'll know if we got this money or not. It is a competitive pool. It's not a slam dunk guarantee. And again, it's only a 15-minute interview, so my fingers are crossed, but we'll see how it goes. All right, I am now going to hand the mic over to Shannon, who is author of Low Hanging Fruit. He's going to tell you a little bit about his story and his book. We'll talk some key strategies, and then we're going to do a quick breakout just to kind of keep our wheels turning. So with that, I hand it over.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Shannon Dobbs. I am the co-founder and president of On Common Ground. It's a nonprofit organization founded in Northern Nevada 5 years ago to work on creating solutions for food insecurity in that community. We've transitioned over the last 5 years. We've gone through the process of developing several programs and several potential solutions that I believe are universal and that can be applied to food desert situations in communities all across the country. And I recently created this book, Low Hanging Fruit, as a way to try and share some of the developments and the processes and research and kind of where we're at this point with communities all across the nation, in the hopes of creating a larger conversation about ways that we can use market-based solutions to add to existing efforts to reduce food insecurity, to increase access in underserved areas to healthy food, and also food reclamation and diversion programs, which I understand your project and the group that you guys are working in is already working on a lot of these things. So Monique connected up with our board treasurer in the Fly Ranch retreat a couple of months ago, and found out that I was moving into the area about 3 months ago. And so we ended up connecting and kind of sharing a lot of this information back and forth. And that led to a really productive discussion with Tom down at the farmers market last month, where we were talking about some of the food access challenges in East Pueblo. And, so we're just kind of having this ongoing conversation, and I wanted to introduce myself, just what we're doing with On Common Ground, and hopefully start a discussion about if there's any possibility that some of the tools that we've developed may be of use with the Pueblo Food Project, and in turn, some of the successes that you guys are creating. I'd love to be able to use our organization to try and share some of that information with other programs and other organizations around the country. So this is an ongoing situation that we're working on developing at this point. I'm just excited to be part of the process, and thank you very much for the invite. You were probably expecting 10 minutes, huh?
Well, can you tell us what's in the book?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we have been working on developing is creating a business model for a grocery store, and we structured it as a nonprofit organization because that just makes more sense than trying to compete head to head with the profit sector, but specifically to go after low-income communities that can't support a traditional grocery store. And so we created a plant-focused model just to eliminate situations of cross-contamination. We focused on the local sourcing from the local food system, primarily focusing on pantry staples and dried foods as the basis for the organization, so that you can keep costs down, reduce turnover of the foods, and really just create a sustainable model that can start pushing back against the access inequity at the retail level. We also have been working for several years on developing programs for food reclamation and food diversion programs from grocery stores, hospitals, schools, kind of any place that's producing food in the retail sector, where you've got a lot of waste and a lot of inefficiencies that's causing just a massive amount of food waste across the country. And so we're just having this discussion about, what can we do in the urban environment to connect more with the rural environment, and really create a cross collaboration between the two sectors to be able to have a more efficient solution that works for the community, something that provides tools and kind of increases our skill sets to be able to more aggressively go after these resources and provide a better distribution system than what we've got going on right now. And I'm brand new in Colorado. This is I'm moving here from Northern Nevada, so I'm definitely interested in learning more about this system, about what's going on now and what you guys are already working towards, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Does anyone have any questions for Shannon before we go into some breakout discussions?
Yeah, Shannon, my name is Mark. I recently moved back to Pueblo from Reno. So, I'm familiar with kind of some of the Nevada politics and some of the Nevada ways of life. And moving forward, I'd love to pick your brain and also offer whatever I can to help you get adjusted to Pueblo and Colorado life. Just thank you for being here. I think you have a wealth of knowledge to offer our community, and I look forward to collaborating with you moving forward.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm excited to connect up with you, Mark Anthony. Is it Mark or Mark Anthony?
Either one works. It's Mark Anthony Montoya, but it's just a good way for people to remember who I am, because there's like 1,000 Marks in the world.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mark or Shannon, I just a quick question. Have you looked at any kind of say a nonprofit co-op of anything? Is that what would something like that look like as well, or is that something like that sustainable?
I think it is. I'm not terribly familiar with cooperative structures myself. I've really kind of focused on the nonprofits sector because that was the structure that looked like it made the most sense for the Reno and Northern Nevada area. But I've seen a lot of cooperatives that do work. The concern that I have about that is that a cooperative, to my understanding, typically cooperative is a for-profit entity. And so that kind of kicks you out of some of the potential resources that you can get from federal resources, USDA. It's just a different program, and it's not something that I'm particularly familiar with, but I think that there's definitely an opportunity to create a solution that works with that matrix and with that structure. And, I'm definitely interested in exploring the option.
Shannon, this is Brandy Adikai. I wanted to thank you for coming on. I'm very excited to read your book. Currently, we're working on mobile food distributions and making in-house food pantries, hopefully to launch starting in October in Pueblo and across the state as well. So we're more than food is kind of what our concept is. We'll be able to have this food pantry in an empowerment center. And we're within the empowerment center, we'll provide those ancillary services for the clients coming in.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. So I'm very excited to read your book and your take on that. Is your book available on Audible or on audio or on Amazon? I know she said Amazon. Is that the place where we're able to buy it, or do you have it on audio as well?
I haven't gotten it on audio yet. That's still kind of in the process. I'm working on getting that, getting the voice in there and putting that whole thing up. This is all a work in progress. I just published last week. So
congratulations.
Thank you. From a pantry perspective, I'm really interested in exploring, and I hope that we can have a discussion about this, but I'm really interested in exploring how we can get a market-based solution in collaboration with the pantry solution. So you've got food coming in as a donation model, but the challenge that I see with that is that you can't use SNAP and WIC programs to be able to access that. And so there's kind of a missing, in my head at least, there's a missing component that if we can get a market-based solution that works in collaboration with the pantry programs, we might be able to provide access to products that are kind of missing from the pile. So if you've got like spices availability, if you've got, some of these things that are necessary to kind of complete the meal, and if we can figure out a program that where you've got both sides of this equation working in collaboration, I think that might be a really powerful solution.
Yeah, most definitely. I know right now, just within our Pueblo Food Project, we're able to provide the main staples and proteins in addition to some of those supplemental foods. But I would love to have a conversation on, some of those spices and other products that we could add in. Right now, we actually have Hunger Free Colorado coming tomorrow to film a documentary on food access. Yeah, so they're going to be coming out to our food distribution in collaboration with the Eastside Action Support Team and Pueblo Food Project. So
that's wonderful.
Yes.
I can't wait to see it.
Thank you, Shannon. We'll definitely share it with you. Thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah, some of the market-based solutions that the Pueblo Food Project has already implemented in terms of food access, as Brandy pointed out, is prioritizing as much as possible local procurement. So a lot of money came to the community because of COVID-19, and the Pueblo Food Project was fiercely dedicated to buying as much local product as possible. The pantry that Brandy spoke of and many folks know about, it's an online pantry for any nonprofit organization serving Pueblo County. And essentially every single item in that pantry, except for the frozen whole chicken, is made in Pueblo. So we're very proud of that. And we've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in our local food economy, specifically to serve those accessing those pantries or otherwise. So I think that we're doing our best, but would love to see more people involved in creating long-term sustainable solutions that aren't reliant on sort of grant funds per se to keep that market activity going.
Yeah, that's wonderful. One of the things that really impresses me about the Pueblo Food Project is that you guys have this collaborative effort and you're all working together towards common goals. And that's something that, frankly, I'm not used to seeing, because Northern Nevada is a lot more competitive. There's a lot more kind of infighting and siloism going on in the area that I was developing. And so seeing Colorado working together and seeing you guys sharing resources like this is, incredibly inspiring.
All right, I'm going to put a link in the chat and someone open it up. Let me know if you can get in there. And it is editable, so please don't erase the questions, but if you want to throw some notes in there from your group discussion, you should be able to. I'm gonna put us into some breakout rooms. And if y'all just want to kind of brainstorm for the next 10 minutes or so on these questions, that would be ideal. We'll go about 4 or 5 participants per room. And you'll get a notification that pops up that asks you to join your breakout room. So just click that and you will be off in your small group. So here we go. The rooms are open. Right, welcome back. My bingo card is filling up with all these beautiful faces. Okay, yes, Brandy, Vogue girl. Okay, someone give me a really great idea that came out of their group. Share it out.
So I heard an original idea in group 1 today, and that was to have some kind of like news group or a news feed that talks about all the things in the food project coming up. This is Frank's original idea. And I think it's awesome if we could get together and have a one-stop place to get all that.
Okay, so better information sharing, marketing. We also heard that in our summer reflection exercise, the theme sticks. Someone give me a reason why a good business has failed in Pueblo and what we're going to do about it.
I was actually putting a comment in about another comment under that, talking about the farmers markets. And my suggestion is if you can get a brick and mortar store solution for 365 access into a community, you can actually use that as a basis to be able to develop support for a farmers market seasonally. And you can even go so far as to, implement the landlines to be able to access SNAP and WIC programs. You can support. You can market it as I've got the farmers' produce coming in, but then we've also got these staples here that so kind of create more of a one-stop shop solution. So that might add some resiliency to the program to make it more viable over time.
Some other stroke of genius in the last 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes went by fast.
Yeah, I would say a challenge to flourishing businesses in Pueblo is marketing. I feel like there's a lot of good talent and new things that are cropping up in town, which is great. However, I feel like the population is a bit sleepy and they're just kind of focused on their own modus operandi. So a good marketing campaign is needed to break through that mental malaise and to get people to, first of all, be aware that these resources are even available, and to get them inspired to want to take action. Just a real quick case study, a cool pinball arcade opened up on Union Avenue. And so I invite you guys, Friday and Saturday, if you need a place to hang out, come play pinball. They have a nice bar. They have a bakery upstairs. Point is that it's a nice family-owned business. It's new, but they are kind of struggling with their marketing piece. And that leaves, it's not enough to just build a business and open it, but to really get people in there strategically, I think is the biggest opportunity I've seen so far for any and all businesses in town.
All right. Okay, we need to move on. We still have Tom. I saw you, Tom. I saw you out of the corner of my eye, Tom. Go for it.
One of the things that we were talking about in our group also was, along with the brick and mortar, we're not going to have the produce here all year long. That's an issue for us. And I know that at one time, I think it was Millburgers had some kind of and Mike, you might be able to help me more with this, but that they had a big greenhouse kind of a thing, or it was or something like, how do we come back into someone doing that if it's not us? How can we support one of the farmers and ranchers to do something like that? So it's maybe brings in stuff for the Pueblo Food Project for this kind of a farmer's market situation. Where do we get that kind of support? Is there, ranchers probably can do it, but is there someone in the farmers, the growers, who would maybe be able to look at something like that where we can help make that sustainable for them as well? And also Mike, you know so much more about this kind of stuff than I do. I'm throwing stuff and hope something sticks.
No, that's a good point, Tom. We've got to come up with ways, and the big scale processing that we've envisioned in the past and had in the past failed as a business. So we've got to re-envision, maybe with some different types of technologies, how we can process, preserve what we have during the growing season and do it, at a different scale than having a large processing facility that we traditionally had. So I don't know what that answer is, but yeah, we've got to rethink that because of that seasonality.
Derek and I touched on an idea in our conversation here in the main room about, rather than partnering with a distributor, partnering with another community. So if we found a community, let's say in Arizona, who had the same values and goals for their local food system that we have for ours, what would it look like to create a strategic partnership for those off-season months? And how would we make that work? It sounds pretty lofty right now, but thinking about that sister cities model and what it would mean to support community to community rather than being mediated through some sort of national distributor. Okay, we do need to move on to our working group updates. So shout out to everyone for participating in that conversation and all the great notes. This is not a conversation that ends here, but obviously lots of work for us to do in this movement. So excited to see some ideas flow through. Let's kick it off with Dr. Kelly and economy. And oops, I'm sorry. I was looking at Dr. Kelly, but Mo is responsible for economy. So Mo, if you wouldn't mind, and I'm going to just share our flyer while you provide your update.
Okay, I just shared the bit.ly link to sign up for our restaurant conversations. So on Monday at 10 a.m. and at 7 p.m., the Pueblo Food Project is hosting 2 Zoom conversations. We really, really need to hear from restaurants. We want to put together an ARPA proposal to help them out with problems that were created by COVID. And we have a number of case studies that we're looking at of what other communities have done with their ARPA funds, just to throw out there and start that conversation. It's very important this is free money for restaurants, so they need to participate so we can help them in the best way we can. As of yesterday, we only have 1 restaurant signed up, so we're kind of getting in that. We pushed this out on social media. It's been shared all over the place. So now it's just kind of putting people's feet to the fire to actually RSVP. Just a quick, good update. During this meeting, I've had 2 phone calls from restaurants that were interested in signing up. So now we have 3 signed up. But if you could send that out to anybody you know who's owning or operating a restaurant and needs solutions, that would be super helpful. So that's what's happening. And then we also are getting ready to, next month, we're going to review our 15-week curriculum for the startup semester for our food entrepreneurs. And we're hosting conversations. We're talking about where is this curriculum going to live? How's it going to be delivered? So those are the 2 major big things happening in food economy.
All right, thank you. And Dr. Kelly, you're up.
Awesome. Food and Farm Literacy and Education had a really great meeting this month, and we approved a budget request for increasing the promotion for the Chili Frijoles Fest and getting the word out to grow our coalition. And we also talked about the parent brainstorm session that was earlier this month. So if you don't remember, we hosted at City Park a catered barbecue and had new families joining the conversation. So we talked about lots of different desires of the community to learn or to get their students involved in hands-on education, both in school and in informal out-of-school scenarios. There's a lot of people who want to learn about eggs and chickens and aquaponics and year-round production and farm to school strategies. So we may be growing our momentum towards a parent work task force who could help us through the advocacy group as well. We also talked about just increasing how many people know how to grow their own food and the importance of reducing food miles and just growing awareness for our food system in general. And last but not least, entrepreneurship education around the food system. And then of course we had the community meal prep conversation too, that it would be really great to start cultural change around nutrition by having a place for us to gather and have those common rituals of preparing or preserving the foods. So that was a really robust conversation, and we've now picked through it as a working group and prioritized some of those things to move forward. Like the other invitation is around a traditional event in town. The Pueblo School for Arts and Sciences Empty Bowls is coming up. And so we will be looking at hosting a couple of bowl making events. If any of you are willing, that would be a great way to continue our involvement in the arts community, as well as creating a way for food access work to go forward. So if you can't make it to one of the clay bowl making events, you can still attend the event in November. I think it's $10 to purchase some soup. And we will be involving the Fuji Kits in this one too. Thank you.
All right, Lindy.
Good morning. I already have my salad dressing link ready, so I put that in the chat. That is our main promotion right now. So we're having a make your own salad dressing event in the edible landscape at Mineral Palace Park, Friday, October 1st. We're asking that people sign up, and we're just inviting anyone from Pueblo, but really anyone that would love having that access to some fun cooking skills and delicious, fresh local food. So there is an updated flyer on Facebook, but that flyer Monique is missing the one for October 1st. So that may have been the computer ghost again. But so our salad dressing workshop, we're really excited about. It is a partnership with the Fuji Kits, the PFP Youth Council. So they'll be helping decide what fun local salad ingredients can we shop for and provide in a free food distribution. And at that will also be Cooking Matters will provide ingredients and tips on how do you make your own delicious salad dressings, especially if you have access to fun herbs from the edible landscape. So help us spread the word. I'll be sending out some emails to organizations too, so you have that flyer handy. If you work with anyone that isn't comfortable signing up online, may not have access or feel comfortable with computers, they can always reach out and call me and I'll help them sign up. And let's see, our other updates from our group, the Same Cafe Community Assessment RFP has been released again. And we're hoping to have a lot more applicants for that. So spread the word if you know anyone that might be interested in helping do that community assessment. And then at our working group, we also talked about what a food access panel may look like at Sun Soil Water Conference. So we'll be there talking a little bit about our efforts in food access. And then our videos to reduce ambiguity and stigma around our food access programs. Our filming is in progress. So thank you to everybody that helped work on those scripts, make sure that we have the most important information out there for everybody in our community to understand the importance of those and how to use them. And then, so we have food pantry, farmers market, double up food bucks. Those videos are out of the way. I know WIC videos are coming up. So it's been a really fun effort. I believe it's been just about a year of us working together on these. So it's going to be so exciting to see them be out and shared with our community and even maybe used in other communities in Colorado. And then at our next meeting for October, we'll be able to look at those videos, talk about where we can share them out. Kind of debrief on the farmers market at Mineral Palace, where we have those different food access programs and fun activities in play, and see what worked well, what should we try and do more of in the future. And then we'll talk about healthy food access initiatives during the holiday season. So what's going on? How can we support it? Is there anything missing that maybe we can try and fill in that gap. So I hope you attend that meeting. Thank you.
Right. I haven't seen Dr. Jim on the, Dr. Jim, are you here today? I don't think I saw him log on. The Environment Working Group took a pause from our regularly scheduled programming to encourage everybody to go to a presentation tomorrow night, Chili Fest Eve, on the history of farming. So this will be a presentation at the Heritage Museum. It is free and open to the public. I will MC, and Christy Bartolo, CSU Extension Agronomy Agent, will walk us through the history of farming in Pueblo. So it should be a really exciting event. Just saw your chat, Dr. Kelly. Will it be recorded? We should figure out a way to record it. Yes. It might not be the highest quality recording, but we will figure it out. But yes, that is tomorrow. And I think I have... here are the details. So please come. There will be lots of cool pictures and just really good information. It's a fun way to sort of spend Chili Fest Eve. So we hope to see you there. The advocacy group, we checked in on a number of things. Invitations have been sent out to most of our public officials for Sun, Soil, Water, which is great. All of them have, well, almost all of them have been invited to the event. We checked in on a statewide sugary beverage tax. So there is a stakeholder group that is starting to swirl around whether or not a statewide sugary beverage tax would pass here in Colorado, and what implications that would have for funding health and nutrition activities specifically for youth. In fact, Boulder, was it Boulder County or Denver County? Some county yesterday just passed a provision for kid meal drinks. And that's something that had been discussed in Pueblo before, but essentially in this, I want to say it's Boulder, you can no longer buy a soda with your kids meal. It's either milk or water. So these kinds of conversations are happening in different pockets around the state. There is some motivation to sort of explore these at a statewide level, and we kind of evaluated them from a Pueblo perspective. And we have, you know, arguments on both sides of the coin there, as with most policies. We then started to brainstorm different ideas for policies that we as an advocacy and policy working group could push forward here within our community. And a great idea that Derek came up with was developing a campaign specific to water, or a discounted water rate for community gardens. There are other communities around the country that pay for free for their community gardens water expense, and wondering how we couldn't start that conversation here, whether it's through an ordinance or whether it's through a public-private partnership with the Board of Waterworks. So that is something that our group will be exploring. All right. I'll just give a very quick FujiKits update. They've been a little bit quiet with the start of the school year. However, we have sent out invitations to 18 new members, which is a little daunting to me because we had a humble group of 6 last year, but we are up to 24, and we will have our first meeting within the week. It's been a little crazy getting them all on the same page. Like, if you think we're busy, talk to a teenager. It's a little unruly. So that is what we're working on. And I know she's not here, but shout out to Gianna King, who's really stepped up as a leader for the group and is kind of taking on some of the more administrative roles of getting that group up and going. So feeling really excited about that. Does anyone have any questions for any of the working groups before we move into a coordinator's report?
Monique, this is Lindy. I forgot one detail from our salad workshop. We have some budget to pay a community member for helping us do the work of that food distribution in the salad workshop. So if anyone would be interested about that, you can reach out to me or to Monique.
Yeah, and that would be for some setup the day before, and for being part of that distribution heavy hands during that distribution day of. Okay, I'm going to move into our coordinators report, and there are just a number of things that I want to hit on with y'all now. Some of them have already been touched on, so that'll save us a little bit of time here. The Entrepreneur Development Program is really moving along at a great pace. As you know, we have Jojo Collins, founder of Jojo Sriracha, as well as Philosophy Communications, collaborating on this program. A couple of ideas that have come up through our stakeholder discovery. Initially, we thought this was going to be a 15-week program. And in fact, it's going to be a little bit longer because we're going to put some dedicated pauses in the curriculum. So that's one of the biggest changes. Another thing that we're really excited about is thinking about the curriculum in terms of units, and then incentivizing participation after you finish a unit. So the example that I keep knocking around is after you go through all of the financial section and learnings, you will be given a QuickBooks subscription for the year to help your business. After you go through the brand identity and brand discovery, customer discovery curriculum, you will be given a budget for logo design or print budget at a local agency so that you can get your business cards and flyers ready. So we're trying to think through not only how to pace this program, but also what is going to actually help people launch, right? So we don't want people just to take this class and then walk away and say, oh, that was good stuff. We want them to launch a business. So we're really trying to think through that. The one pager for the program is there. I invite you to click on it, download it, look at it, share it widely, because now we have to start thinking about who this cohort is. You know, ideally we'll recruit between 10 and 12 participants. If half of them finish the curriculum, we're being told that's good business there. So please take a look at that and think about who you would invite or who you would suggest, or maybe you yourself would like to go through this program. So really going to need some help sort of doing the recruitment there. And we're hoping that recruitment goes live at Sun, Soil, Water. That's the goal. It was already mentioned that the Same Cafe RFP is live. It's live again. This is take 2. There will not be a take 3. So this is kind of a now or never moment. If our community is excited about this work, then getting a good response to this RFP shouldn't be a hindrance to us moving forward. So I'm hoping that folks take a look, and there's an opportunity to submit questions. All of that has to go through the city procurement's office because this is an official RFP. It's not an informal bid coming from the food project. So submit those questions. There will be some follow-up documents that come out, but just bear in mind it is time sensitive, and this is our cutoff. If we don't nail it on this one, then we're going to have to communicate that to SAME and also communicate that to our funders that this particular project goal just didn't end up panning out, which is fine. It happens. But just want to put that out there that it's live again per the feedback from this conversation a month ago. Okay, ARPA. You guys are going to be excited because there's going to be some quiet time. You won't hear me say ARPA. So shout out to Derek and all of the folks that supported the Community Garden Support Program. We have been awarded $20,000 to develop a community garden support program for next season. This will cover things like shared tools, developing a volunteer corps, helping start up new gardens, helping existing gardens become more productive. So this is a systems change. This is a systems shift for Pueblo, and very, very excited, and just goes to show you that ARPA process does work. Next, the Genuine Pueblo application was favored in the peer review process. However, need to confirm with city attorney whether or not that actually is a viable expense for ARPA. So still TBD on where we landed there. The biggest hurdle is that the community supports the idea of developing a Genuine Pueblo brand. ARPA proposals for new businesses, New ARPA proposals for individual businesses are due October 1st. So if you are thinking about submitting a proposal, now is the time. You got to get it in there. It needs to come in before October 1st. October through November, the committees will be reviewing all of those individual new proposals. And then November and December is where we get really creative, and we're going to start connecting dots for proposals that didn't quite hit the line. We're going to come up with collaborative solutions, citywide solutions, rather than individual business or organization impact. So just bear in mind, just because the proposal form is no longer open, that doesn't mean there's not still work happening. In fact, the really creative, juicy work will happen in November and December. Sun, soil, water. The one thing that I want to say about this is that sponsorships are now open. That link there clicks you to our sponsorship form. We have already got $2,500 in sponsorships for the pitch competition or the conference itself. But guess what? We need a lot more because we're planning a really cool event. So if you yourself or your business are interested in supporting this effort, don't hesitate to follow the instructions on that sponsorship form. Or if you have a great list of folks that you're excited to put this in front of, or someone who owes you a favor, now might be the time, because everything is tax deductible and we very much appreciate the support. Whew. 3 more things. Okay, so the Pueblo Food Project has been moving and grooving over here, just sort of that 6th goal, engagement for influence on our 1 through 6 there, in increasing Pueblo's presence in some of these rooms. So I present to the Community Service Action Committee on Friday. Last week, I presented to the Colorado Environmental Health Association, which is AKA all of the health inspector network around the state. They had their annual conference here in Pueblo last week, and basically shared with them the role that health inspectors could play in growing the greater food movement. So that was a really cool place to be, and had a great conversation with the executive chef of Art Hotel in Denver, which is one of the nicest hotels in Denver. It's right downtown. Long story short, Hatch chili all over the Denver dining scene, everywhere, on every menu, in the farmer's market. It's a thing. Said, hey man, what about Pueblo chili? And he said, send me some samples. So we're going to roll with this and kind of create more of a box that is all of the great food service products that we have here in Pueblo, not just the Pueblo chili, in an effort to at least get listed at one Denver restaurant. Because the fact that all of these folks are buying from New Mexico and just driving right by us is unacceptable. So really excited that those strategic conversations took place. Shout out to the Fujikits, and feeling very lucky. We are one of 2 organizations across the nation that are being invited to participate in the Tufts Friedman School of Nutrition Service Learning Program. So Tufts Friedman School of Nutrition and Policy is at the top echelon of conversations between nutrition and policy. They have a particular class focused on behavior change, and that we of the Pueblo Food Project applied to be considered as their focus for the students for the semester. And we were selected, and one other organization as well. So we will really use these potential PhD students' brain power to talk through how the Fujikits efforts of meal prep, cooking, DIY learning with food can really go that much further by applying these theories of behavioral change. So this is a very exciting partnership, just kicked off last week. And just wanted to share that with folks that's happening, because it's a big deal. They're a nationally recognized school, and we're becoming a nationally recognized food project. So shout out. Last little thing I want to mention, and this is more of a conversation. We have the opportunity to share a booth at the Multicultural Festival with an organization who does voter registration. And the group is looking for like a local anchor to sort of have the conversation about, you know, what's popping in Pueblo, because they're Denver based. So they would pay for our booth and then we'd share a table with them. I'm going to be out of town during that time. And before I said yes to them, I have to put to the group, is anyone excited about manning a table at the Multicultural Festival on behalf of the Pueblo Food Project? I know many of you already have your own booths there, and folks probably want to experience the festival. So before I said yay or nay back to this potential sponsor, I wanted to flow it through the group. How do folks feel?
Monique, what are the dates for that again?
It's one day, October 7th. It's a Saturday.
I mean, I could do a shift. I don't think I have the capacity to organize the whole thing, but I could do some of that. Looks like Derek has his hand up too. I don't know if he's volunteering or has a question.
If
That Saturday's
October
actually
7th
the
is a
9th.
Thursday, then I've made a mistake because it is definitely on a Saturday. It must be October 10th. Okay, I'm seeing
It's
a yes.
October 9th, Monique.
Thank you, everyone. Now it's just the calendar ghost in my brain. Okay, so it's Saturday, October 9th. Derek is saying, yes, I want to. Okay, so folks who are interested in participating in this, send me a note. We're going to have a conversation because I'm legit like out. I'm not around for any of that, like tables and giveaways and printing, da, da, da. You're all going to have to figure that out. I'm not saying that it's impossible. We just really need to coordinate before because I'm unavailable from October 1st. So let me know, send me an email and we'll take it from there. All right, that concludes my coordinator's report and we are rounding down to the end of our meeting. So if you wouldn't mind turning on your camera for a wave goodbye, we will open now for community announcements, appreciations.
I'll go ahead and start off, Monique. If everybody could join in and sing Monique happy birthday. We don't want to hear my voice only. Ready? Go. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mo. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
And many more.
Channel 4. We love you, Monique. You're awesome. Thank you for all that you do. And I hope you have the very best day and the very best weekend. You deserve some time to yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Monique.
Go for it, Derek.
Happy birthday, by the way. But also, I'd like to ask if anyone is willing to volunteer to help move some garden beds today. We've rented a truck. There's an individual who has 30 to 40 of these 50-gallon drums that are cut in half, and they're really, really heavy because they're still full of soil, very valuable soil, I might add. So I just need some help moving them from where they're at on the west side over to the Miracle Community Garden space over there on the south side. So we have a truck. I have a dolly here at my house I'm going to bring. We have a couple of dollies to use. We just need some people and to help us out if possible. You can either call me directly, message me, text me, do whatever. So we're doing this at noon today.
Yes, I'm picking up the U-Haul at noon and I will be, we will meet at the west side location. The goal is to load them all up one round in the U-Haul and then unload them over at Miracle Community Garden. And if you participate in all of that fabulous work and you have not had lunch yet, then I will take you to lunch. So hit up Derek if you want to help us. We could use the help. Otherwise, it's going to be me and him getting really sweaty with a lot of dirt and buckets. Okay. Any other community announcements, appreciations? Go for it, Mark.
Yeah, I just want to say to the group, I'm very interested in submitting the RFP for Same Cafe, and I welcome any assistance on this. I've done grant writing in the past, so I will do the heavy lifting in terms of the actual composition, but I really need y'all's feedback in terms of what's been done with the group so far, and just help me fill in the missing pieces to make this a cohesive proposal submissions. So I guess, Monique, what's the best way to get some assistance? Can I just give you my email and people contact you, or should I just have
Yeah,
them
throw your
contact you
email in the
directly?
chat. I would put your email in the chat right now. And for folks who are excited to join Mark in a submission, that would be great.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your help.
Any other appreciations, community
Yes.
announcements?
One more, a huge appreciation. Many of you on this call showed up and helped out with the farmers market in many ways, and I could never properly express my appreciation for every one of you, every moment that you have spent. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you'll come back and do it again next year. There will be much off-season planning, but the things that we added this season through the Pueblo Food Project working groups have been enormously gosh, my brain just went blank. Popular, well received. So yeah, thank you so much. There literally not a chance it could have been done without every one of you. So you rock.
Just one quick announcement, Monique.
Yes.
Tomorrow I put in the chat that we'll be having a food distribution at the former Span at 12 p.m. We are looking for extra volunteers that want to come help out. Volunteers will be needed anywhere between 10 and 11 a.m. And we will be having a pizza party for our volunteers tomorrow. So if you want to come join in and be a part of that, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I have an appreciation to give. I am giving an appreciation to Miss Megan Moore, who over the last month has created all of those fabulous flyers that I have been flashing up throughout this meeting and are linked in your agenda and are so sharp and make us look so good. Literally, I will send Megan like 6 words and voila, here comes this completed package. So shout out to Megan for helping us do all of the heavy lifting on PFP marketing. Really appreciate you and making us look so good. Thank you. All right, 2 minutes left. Last call, last call.
Anybody who's not aware, Megan also designed the farmers market logo.
Yes, so I wanted to give a shout out to Megan as well for designing all of our beautiful collateral for Chili Fest. We had a really specific idea and she executed it beautifully, and also put together our link tree that our QR code is going to. And also shout out to Derek, who has been going back and forth with the printer and the payments and picking everything up. He's going to be setting up our tent and tearing it down for Chili Fest. So thank you.
And is the Chili Fest, the table, is it over by the El Pueblo Museum or?
Yes, it's in La Placita. So behind the chili roasters, kind of adjacent to the museum.
Thank you.
And the food distribution tomorrow, that's 2300 East 10th Street?
Yes, it'll be at the former Span Elementary.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
It is a hoot. It's a blast. It's busy and it's crazy. You have to come out if you've never been there.
All right, y'all, it's 10 a.m. One more time, the fall equinox brings going to seed, gathering of the harvest, and relates to gratefully receiving and sharing the giveaway. Catch you at the next one. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.
Hi, happy birthday again.
Ooh, don't forget, feedback link on your agenda. Send us your feedback. Bye.